It's finally time to do the wrap up of the month of June. I didn't read as much as I've been reading lately because I was actually traveling. I traveled to Japan this past month, and so I was just reading a little bit here and there, not reading as much as I wanted to, but I did manage to read 10 books and kind of DNF'd one and have one paused. So let's go over every single one of the books and let me tell you a little bit about what I thought about them. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing and liking the video because that will help me so much in growing the channel, and that would be amazing. So thank you. Okay, so first off we have Hunting Adeline. I gave this book 4.5 stars, and let me tell you, the Haunting Adeline duology is so fucking surprising to me. I was not expecting to love these books as much as I did, and I've already raved about them a little bit on my TikTok, but I fell in love with these characters. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much because I followed a lot of like the thoughts online. I followed what other people were saying, what other people were thinking. It was also all surrounding that one chapter, you know? And that is not the total of the book. That is not at all what the book is about. The book has so much depth, the characters are so interesting, their relationship as well. And like just the psychological side of things. And in this second book, we see Adeline goes through the most traumatic experiences ever, honestly. Do keep in mind the trigger warnings if you're considering reading this book, because they are true. They are very heavy, and so keep in mind when you're reading this book, the trigger warnings are to be taken seriously, okay? But basically we see her go through really traumatic experiences, and how she has to then, once she's free of these circumstances, how she has to face all that she went through, and also like rebuild the relationships that she has with the people around her, rebuild the relationship she has with the MMC, and also like just figure everything out and just figure out what her new normal is. So we see her go through all of her trauma. We see the psychological side of it. I absolutely love this, okay? Like, this is what I live for, is this type of character development, just going through all of the psychological side of things. I love that. I absolutely love it. So this book for me was so good. I loved it. I really did. I love the series. So I gave it 4.5 stars, and it was amazing. After that, that's when things started to go a little bit downhill, okay? So next up, I read A Dawn of Onyx, and I gave it 2.5 stars, and I'm being generous, okay? I did not love this book. So the premise is there, right? For regular romantasy, you have the premise there, but just so much is missing, you know? It just is very meh. I don't really care about the characters. It's very all over the place. The author tries to have everything everywhere, and I just don't give a shit. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't. I think some things are very easy. I think the main character is very fucking gullible. She just trusts people to trust people. She tells someone, like a stranger she just met, her entire life story. Like, I didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I really didn't. I didn't like it. I was curious to know what happens to them, but not enough to continue reading the story. So I think it was a fail, you know, at least for me. Like, it wasn't my type of thing. It wasn't for me. So I couldn't go through it, so I gave 2.5 stars. I think after that is when I tried to read The Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I don't even know where to begin with this, okay? Like, I understand that this book was written a long time ago. I understand that the translations aren't great. There are really bad translations out there. I got one of the better ones, okay? Like, I made sure that I had the correct one. But where the book for me failed completely was how condescending these people, these main characters, are to everyone else around them, especially people from other countries. There's a lot of scenarios, a lot of examples. I went a little bit in depth on this on a video on my TikTok, but basically, like, the crux of it was anyone else was was below them. So they went to Iceland, where they begin their journey, and they were like talking about how like their houses are hovels, you know, and also demeaning the people of Iceland, how they're cold and unfeeling, and how they're just knuckleheads, basically. It's just ridiculous. And the last straw for me, the actual absolute last straw, was when he basically compares, and I read out loud the passage on my TikTok, but he basically compares a shepherd to his sheep. So basically, they were complaining how they weren't even seeing shepherds whose sheep were smarter than them. What? It was so xenophobic. I couldn't. I was expecting something along the lines of the movie, and I understood it was a different era. I understand it was a different type of writing. I do understand the zeitgeist of it, but I can't get through it. I couldn't get through it. I hated every second of it. So I stopped. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't handle it anymore. It's not for me, and that's okay. It's okay to not be for us. So I didn't pull anything off of my TBR. I just went and started Twisted Love next, and I gave this 3 stars. Let me explain. I like Twisted Games more. So it wasn't going to be that higher, but also these types of novels for me, when they don't have a lot of backstory, when they don't have a lot of depth, when they don't have a lot of just a lot of more other than the romance itself, to me, it doesn't justify giving them 4 stars, even if I do like them a lot, unless they're like very, very special, because 4 stars are really, really, really good fantasy or romanticities that I have that have so much depth to them and a lot more, build to the book and to the world and everything. And so going into these romances and comparing them to that is not in my brain. It doesn't work. It doesn't compute. So probably other people would have given this 4 stars. I gave it 3 stars, okay? Just keep that in mind. I know my brain doesn't work normally, but at least for now, that's how it's working. I really like the characters. I like this Twisted series so far. I am planning on reading the other 2. You know what? It was a really nice book to decompress from the shit show from the previous 2, and that was what I needed in the end. That was the important part. Okay, I needed something to fill me up with a little bit more interest and a little bit more, angst and stuff like that. So this was perfect for that. The singing part wasn't as cringe as I thought it would be. And it made sense for the character himself. So I actually liked it, to be completely honest. I'm surprised I did, but I actually did like it. So I will say that, okay? Next up, I read Nocticadia, and I gave it 4 stars. I was not expecting to like it as much. I wasn't sure if it was going to be, for me, the dark academia side of it, but the forbidden love, the sexy parts, the professor, her, but also the story, the background, the mysteries in the story, the scientific discoveries, the history with her mom and the island, all of that was so well developed, was so well done. I absolutely loved this entire book. I gulped it down. I loved it so much. The worms gave me a bit of the ick, I'm not gonna lie, because I don't like worms, especially larvae. But I don't like worms, so the imaging in my head was not great. Okay, so I got a little bit squeamish there, but I loved every single second of the rest of the book, so I really liked it. Next up, I read Starling House. This one was kind of I was either gonna like it or I wasn't gonna like it at all. It's kind of a fiction, but has a little bit of fantasy to it. And I just thought this can be really boring and just not what I like, because I felt that with, what was the name? I think it was Bitterthorn. Yeah, Bitterthorn. I felt that with Bitterthorn, right? It was one of those either hit or miss, but Starling House actually did. I don't know, the story, the background, also the context of the town that they live in and everything that happened in history was also very interesting to see. The house itself and how it pulls all of its starlings to it. Just the main characters, I loved every second of it. I loved the romance of it. It was just very well done. It's a very unusual type of story, which I absolutely love, because nowadays we've gotten so saturated with the exact same tropes over and over and over and over again, and just having these slightly different but completely unique stories. Love them. So this one was a 4 star. It might get more, to be honest. I want to reevaluate the star rating on this one, but for now it's just 4 stars. Next up, we got Cryer's War Duology, which is Cryer's War in Ironheart. This is a world where you have humans and you have automatons, and basically these robots, they have taken over the humans, and the humans are kind of slaves basically. And so the story happens between a human girl that's serving the royal palace and the princess in that royal palace, and the princess is an automaton, of course. And there's a lot of political intrigue and political things in this book. I absolutely found very, very interesting how there's political sides, and how each faction is doing its own thing, and then you have the revolution, and you have these 2 girls in this middle of this whole thing falling in love for each other, and how are they going to manage everything. And then there's the secrets from the past that come to bite their asses. It's just it's so interesting. The story itself is so interesting. I think it was very well done, very well developed. The world was very interesting and very well developed. It was just a very well written story. I loved every second of it. I loved the romance between the main characters. I liked it a lot. So I gave 4 stars to each book. Next up, I read The Glass Bear and The Cursed Sea. I gave 4 stars to the first, 3.5 to the second one. So this book follows one of the princesses of this kingdom. She's the last one to be born. She is like the last spare of all, and she gets cursed, and she has like this magical ability, and she gets shunned by her kingdom basically. And so she has to leave and go wild and explore, and she has a really close relationship with the third in line. She's the fourth, and she has a great relationship with her brother that's the third. And yeah, things happen, political side happens, there's a lot of like political intrigue, but also like the adventures she goes on and the curse she's under, and she meets this other person, the MMC, that's also cursed by his own thing, and she tries to help him, and then they both get mixed up in between the politics of 2 different kingdoms, and it just goes from there. And I really like the magical system in this. I really like the characters and their relationship. They're kind of like enemies to lovers, but not heavy enemies, but a little bit. She's also she's also a boss ass bitch. She's very scrappy. She will figure it out. She'll find a way to escape. She is very well trained by her father, as well as she's trained as a spy basically. And so it's really interesting. I really like her as a character. The last book gets a little bit lower rating because I feel like at the end, the author just forgot about a lot of stuff. They forgot about certain characters. They forgot about, like, they left a lot of loose ends. The ending was very simple. You kind of get an idea of, like, what the happily ever after might be, but you don't actually get a bit of it. And it's very open, but answers a few questions for you. And I don't love that. I really don't. I think there's a good way of doing it. I didn't love it in this book. And I had so many questions, so many things I wanted to see. So I didn't love that part, but yeah, that's why I kind of got like 3.5 stars. I kind of forgot, but before I got into Nocticadia, I actually started The Spirit Cuts Through Water because I heard so many good things online, and I also saw in Goodreads it had a really nice rating at the time. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a try. I'm gonna try this book. Like, it might be something that I like. And it's paused at the moment. Like, I'm reading it in between books here and there because I read about a chapter or 2, and these chapters are really big, mind you. Like, the chapters are enormous, but the way this book is written, like, it has no paragraphs, it has no like actual like lines per se, and you have multiple people talking at the same time, multiple voices. So you have the main person that's watching like a theater happen, and the theater is the main story. So that first person you get is kind of intervene sometimes, but then you have the main theater as a main thing, but then the spirits in this world start intervening and saying what happened and what they thought, and it's so fucking confusing. I do have the hang of it now, and I do understand like the logic of it. It's kind of like an exercise to get started on this book, so it's kind of a stylistic choice that I wouldn't have made, to be honest. Plus, the chapters are really long. The story prolongs itself a lot. It's a really big book. It's taking me a while. I do want to know what happens to the characters, and that is the only reason I haven't DNF'd this book yet, because I really want to know what happens to the characters. But instead of making myself miserable and reading the book and finishing it, I am reading other books, and I'm going to be reading it once in a while. So I'll read like a bit here, a bit there, and even if it takes me the rest of the year to finish this fucking book, I will finish it. But yeah, that one is kind of like just there. I don't think it's gonna be really highly rated because a book isn't supposed to be this hard to read. But I'm still very curious about the story itself because I've heard that the story is very, very good. So I want to continue reading. So that was one of the books that were kind of a fail this month. The last book I read this month was The Silent Patient. And I'm going to be honest with you. I thought this was going to be better. I really did. And I also think that maybe for someone else it might have been better. Just was not for me, and I don't think it's going to be for just anyone, especially if you have a background in psychology, because this book is basically like propaganda for psychoanalysis. Like, it's like propaganda for everything that Freud believed in, for the Freudian school of psychology, basically. Like, I have a background in psychology, in clinical psychology. I have a master's, a thesis in clinical psychology. I'm not actively working in the field though, but my school did not follow this. We actually believe on the opposite, where we believe that the person has all the tools they need to fix the problem themselves. We're just guiding them through that process. And psychoanalysis really believes in like, we hold the power, and the person is just like this moldable clay we need to mold back into normalcy. And also that every single problem that they're experiencing today as adults is connected to what they experienced when they were children, which has its merits. Like, obviously what you experience as a child will define who you are today and will affect who you are today, but that doesn't necessarily mean that to fix what you have today, you have to go dig up the background and the back, right? You don't actually need to do that. You can perfectly fine deal with things right now as they are right now. And just the psychobabble of the entire book, it was just too much. I was rolling my eyes for most of it. I had a really hard time taking it seriously. It's just not what I believe in. I understand that this really depends on what your thought, but like it was ridiculous. It got to a point where I was just sick and tired of all of the psychobabble. The plot twist was really nice. I did like the plot twist at the end of the book, and I do think like the story was done in a way that like it made sense. The plot twist made sense, and it makes you question what you read in the back, but it doesn't make you question the narrator. I felt like the ending was a bit rushed, you know. It just, yeah, I didn't have a great time with this last book. I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't. But yeah. It was something. I gave it 3 stars, but I'm considering lowering it to 2.5, to be completely honest. I think that would be best. So it will probably be 2.5. But yeah, so those were the reads for this month, though. That's how it went. Most of these were part of my Japan TBR because I was traveling to Japan, and so I did a little bit of a TBR before I went, and so it was a lot easier to choose what to read throughout the trip. Made my life a lot easier, so a lot of these were part of that Japan TBR. So what I want to do next is to go into the TBR jar and grab a few things for July's TBR. But there is a little bit of a thing here, which is I am currently reading the House of Devils series, so it's 3 books and one of them is coming out in a couple of days, so 4 books in total. I'm still about 70% of the way through the first book, and also I want to reread the Bone Season series. I'm going to be vlogging it, but also because I want to read the last book, which is The Dark Mirror. I haven't read it yet. It came out this year and haven't had the heart to read it yet. I'm not ready. I'm not fucking ready to read it yet. And I want to reread the whole series so I can read that one in context. So I am going to be starting that this month as well. So I am going to be pulling a few books from the TBR, but I'm not going to be pulling a lot of them. So what I was thinking we could do is grab a fantasy series from the jar here and then see how many books that series has. If that series has like more than 3 books, then that's basically going to be it. And I'm going to pull like maybe one standalone more. If the series is like a duology, for example, then we can pull maybe like a couple of standalones to complement it, because just the Bone Season is 5 books long. Okay, the House of Devils ones are 4, so it's already 9 books. I don't think I'm gonna have time to do a lot more than that. So yeah, we're gonna pull just a few options from the TBR jar, so just so I can like have a few other things I could like read in between these 2 series that I want to read, if that makes sense. Let's see. So we're gonna take a fantasy series first. Okay, this is it. Let me see what we got here. Bruh, I got the Dark Mirror bit. Wait, how is that? Isn't a fantasy, or is it a standalone? Is it the standalones that are striped? Oh, I think the standalones are striped. Oops. Okay, my bad. I pulled a standalone instead of a series. My bad. It is the Bone Season series, so it's I needed to get this out of the jar, so that's good. That's cool. It was meant to be. It is meant to be this month that I read this series so I can break my own heart, you know? Okay, now to grab an actual series. I'm gonna mix this a bit more. Okay, we're gonna pull a series, a fantasy series. Can you, please? Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. The Ending Flame Trilogy. Ooh, I don't remember what this is. Give me a second. Okay, so it's the Ending Fire Trilogy, and it starts with the Final Strife. That's the first book. So it's actually a trilogy, so 3 books. This is more than enough for the entire month. But just so we don't have just one draw from the TBR jar, we're gonna pull another one. Okay, we're going to pull a standalone. Should we go fiction or murder mystery? Let's do murder mystery because I have quite a few of those. A standalone for murder mystery. Let's see here. It is the Stolen Sisters. Wow. Okay, so it's Stolen Sisters by Louise Jensen. Okay, very interesting. It's a thriller, mystery, fiction, mystery, thriller. So, okay, so that's our July TBR. So let me like recap it just to make it easier. First, we have the House of Devils series, the 4 books, because the 4th one is coming out this month. Then we have the Bone Season series, which is 5 books, and that actually came out of the TBR as well. Next up, we have the Ending Fire trilogy, 3 books. Very, very nice. And then we have the Stolen Sisters, which is a thriller mystery novel. So yeah, that's what we have for the TBR this month. I do think it's doable if I start speeding through my books, because I've been reading 0 since I got back. It is currently the 5th of July, and I haven't read shit since the 1st of July. Because, you know, a girl has been busy. Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for the books for this month. I do think they're gonna be really nice hits. So yeah, that's my June wrap up. So let me know if there's any specific content or videos or whatever you want me to be doing, and if there's any books that you recommend, that you love, you know, within the genres that you can see that I like, which is like fantasy, romantasy, mystery, thrillers, a little bit of sci-fi and fiction and stuff. If you have any like specific books you want me to read or like review or whatever, let me know. And if you want to be more up to date on like a more day-to-day basis with me, TikTok is the place to go. I also have an Instagram. I made an Instagram, but the posting isn't steady there yet. I'm hoping to make it, but like it's not perfect yet. Okay. So yeah, I'll be seeing you guys next week for another video where we're going to be doing the mid-year book tag. It's my very first book tag. Very excited, and I hope you guys are too. And I'll see you next week. Bye.